friends, stoners, and Canna fans to the latest episode of the Cannabis Chronicles. I am your boy, Brother Bong, and welcome you all on the Stereo app to the latest episode of the Cannabis Chronicles. Uh, so we are, building things, doing things here with the show. But today's segment, today's show, we're going to talk about something that's a little different. So we want to welcome you all back to the Cannabis Chronicles. I am your boy, Brother Bong. I'm Dr. Bong. Excuse me. And tonight we're talking about something that doesn't always show up on scan, but it shows up every single day in people's lives. Fibromyalgia. Now it's chronic pain, it's deep fatigue, it's mental fog, and for many it feels like they're living in a body that never really fully powers down. And too often, people living with fibromyalgia are told it's stress, it's anxiety, it's aggravating, it's exaggerated. Well, let me say this clearly. I'm gonna slow down. Let me say this clearly. Fibromyalgia is real. The pain is real. The exhaustion is real. And to be honest with you, for some patients, cannabis has become part of the path towards relief. All right, so tonight we're going to explore this condition through four lenses, as always, through business, culture, health, and I like to call this my favorite segment, the potpourri. So, first of all, I want to shout out our friends, Best Buds Media, the books. Check them out with, you can check their books out on, where is that card? There we go. On Amazon. And it's bestbudsmagazine.com. And check out Best Buds Media, Best Buds Magazine, and Pen Game Publishing. And check out the kids' books. There's some really cool kids' book. Naya's Number Garden. Really, really, really great books. So shout out to them. Shout out to Sage Genetics. I was just texting back and forth with Sage. So hopefully we're going to get JT on the show and he could give us some information and talk to us about what he does because he is truly, truly a masterful cultivator, and his cultivars are always, always welcome here at the Cannabis Chronicles. As a matter of fact, today's cultivation that just came in off the terrace is called Cherry Gushers. So we're enjoying Cherry Gushers today, and as you know, as you all know, I enjoy just a nice mellow experience, not too much, and just like to chill out, have some food, maybe check out some Netflix or something like that. But we're watching. We just got Paramount Plus. So we're watching a lot of stuff. Miss A, she's watching School Spirits. Together, we're watching Tulsa King. Liking that a lot. So shout out to Miss A. Shout out to Candleware Society. Our boy, our boy, Grizz and Abe and Sam. And congratulations to Sam. He has been elevated to director. Um, Grizz is not stepping down. What he's doing is Grizz was always a multimedia guy. When cannabis took off, it kind of took precedent in his time. So now he's back on his fashion game. So we, applaud that. We look forward to seeing him do his thing and what he does. Excuse me. And we got some real cool stuff coming up with them. So shout out to Cannaware. And if you want to get involved, if you want to be boots on the ground, check out their website. It's cannaware.org. It's cannaware.org. Again, shout out to Grez, Abe, Sam, and Starr. So, yeah, we're going to talk about fibromyalgia today. It's something that a lot of folks, you hear about it, but you don't really know about it. So, one of the things that Grizz and I were talking about were in these Canada meeting, we were talking about international business and how the cannabis business has to evolve past where it is at this point. Excuse me, because it's coming to become a global phenomenon and a global experience. So we were talking about that. Hold on a second. Can I get a spoon? Thank you, Miss A. Let me say, hook me up with a spoon. As every week, I always forget to do something, and I forgot to get my tea ready and have it sitting here at in the studio. So now I had to mix it up and get it together. So we are the Cannabis Chronicles. I am your boy, Brother Bong, weekly candid cannabis community conversation. So, as I said, continued activism is vital for the future of global cannabis. And like I said, if you want to be an activist, if you want to get involved, then there's no better place to get involved than through the through Canaware Society. And you can check them out at their website, canaware.org. So fibromyalgia patients were part of the early wave of medical cannabis activism before polished dispensaries, global expansion, and before market capitalization. Capitalization. There were patients asking for options, and as highlighted in the discussion around the global cannabis advocacy, continued activism remains vital because without activism, research funding slows down, physician education lags, insurance reform, stalls, and access becomes inconsistent. And one of the things that are most important, excuse me, for the cannabis patients that I have helped, the medical cannabis patients that I have helped in my career, is consistency. They want to have the right product. It's like, folks are used to their pharmaceutical medications. And if you have a 5 milligram of a particular medication, don't matter which one it is, in March, when you go back in April, that better be the same strength. It better be the same, pretty much medication. It better be the same medication. It could be a different manufacturer because when you have a fluctuation in the milligrams or something to that effect, you could definitely affect the efficacy of that medication, which then would affect the health improvement of the individual. So uh, cannabis is no different than any other medicine. When those things slow down, when the access becomes inconsistent, and you're not getting your medicine and getting your health and improving the quality of your life, then that could be a problem. So fibromyalgia is often they have to navigate years of trial and error through pharmaceuticals before they actually come to a medication that works for them. Shout out to Wild Bill Wofford, man. Hopefully he's good. He was I know I keep saying we got Wild Bill Wofford and he's gonna be on the show, but like seriously, he's just been under the weather. So we want to shout him out and we want to send him healing energy so that he can, you know, be up and out with us. And so shout out to Wild Bill. Shout out to Joseph. JQ, he said he was going to be on the show. I sent him the link. So again, you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make him a drink. Fibromyalgia patients have to often navigate trial and error through pharmaceuticals. I wanted JQ to talk to you about that because he's one of those patients who suffers from chronic pain, fibromyalgia. Um, you know, but the true deal is that cannabis it became accessible because people demanded compassionate alternatives. Now, if the business side forgets the patient, then it forgets its purpose. Cannabis is not just a community. Excuse me. Cannabis is not just a commodity. I mean, fam, let's face it, it is access, and its access must be protected. Um, we have a little something different. Let's pull up the article I had on the fibromyalgia. I had a fibromyalgia. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. either. So we are the Cannabis Chronicles. I am your boy, Brother Bong. And as I navigate my computer, which I can, and shout out to HP and that computer system I had to upgrade, folks, because I had one from before. So, gonna, CRX Magazine, Hope for Fibromyalgia Sufferers. You know, the question is, can cannabis bring relief to chronic pain associated with and truly this debilitating disease? Um, if, like I said, if you're a provider and you care for patients, if you're a patient who has fibromyalgia, um, you know, fibromyalgia is a chronic pain condition categorized by widespread neuromuscular, musculoskeletal pain and extreme sensitivity to pressure. Now, it's unclear how many people live with fibromyalgia as different resources report different numbers. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention claims fibromyalgia affects 4 million U.S. adults. And number one, the National Institute of Health, 5 million U.S. adults, and the National Fibromyalgia Association, 10 million adults. So what is known is that women are twice as more likely as men to be affected. So fibromyalgia is a complicated condition. Its etiology is unknown, making the diagnosis and effective treatment difficult in some cases. Um, in order to be diagnosed with fibromyalgia, must one be assessed according to the fibromyalgia classification criteria developed by the American College of Rheumatology. So basically, fibromyalgia is one of the qualifying conditions in New York State. Shout out to the New York State Office of Cannabis Management. If you have a deeper dive, if you want to dive really deeply into cannabis, and if you're in New York State, you can definitely uh, get a wealth of knowledge from the Office of Cannabis Management website. We are the Cannabis Management. We are the Cannabis Management. We are the Cannabis Chronicles. I'm your boy, Brother Bond, a weekly candid cannabis community conversation where we discuss our favorite subject, medical cannabis. We talk about it. We come to it from a medical perspective. I have been, I am how should I say this? I have been a medical cannabis patient. I have been a medical cannabis provider. I'm not a provider, but I have been helped many patients deal and understand what medical cannabis can do for them and how it can affect their lives in positive ways. So, I've helped so many people with this that it's amazing. Um, but going back to the Office of Cannabis Management, if you really want to find out information, you can take a really deep dive into whatever particular qualifying condition you may know about or have information or want information about. You can go to the OCM Office of Cannabis Management website, and it's the really great and deep, expansive website for the state of New York, Office of Cannabis Management. So we are the Cannabis Chronicles. I am your boy, Brother Bond, weekly candid cannabis community conversation. And so, as I said, cannabis is not just a commodity; it is access, and access, as through activism, we must keep it and be protected, and keep it protected. So let's look at fibromyalgia through another lens, through culture. Now, more Americans are choosing cannabis over alcohol. A culture shift is happening. More Americans are choosing cannabis over alcohol. So, what are your thoughts? Does anybody have any thoughts on how cannabis and alcohol or how cannabis is becoming a more preferred alternative for folks? And it isn't just preference. My God, it reflects a broader wellness mindset. So for individuals per se, like okay, talking about individuals who are living with fibromyalgia, alcohol can increase their inflammation, right? Disrupt restorative sleep and worsen their fatigue. Worsen their fatigue. No doctor, but sometimes people try to self-medicate with other alternatives, and alcohol is one of them. So I'm just using an example of how through cannabis in a particular medication and source of medication with alcohol. But cannabis, when used intentionally, can responsibly and responsibly may offer muscle relaxation. Cannabis can improve your sleep cycle and it can stabilize your mood. Now, with somebody with fibromyalgia, because fibromyalgia is what they would call uh, neuromuscular pain. So that means it's not like if you bumped your knee or twisted your ankle or had a surgery. You know what I mean? Those things are you can say this is what happened, this is why that happened, and this is why I have the pain. With something like fibromyalgia, it has no source. There is no. That's why I said the etiology, etiology, excuse me, is unknown. So where it comes from and where it affects can be again subjective. So each subject has a different experience when they have and they deal with fibromyalgia. We are the Cannabis Chronicles. Shout out to Living Soil and my boy Gaetano and his team. They have, if you want to learn, I guess not only am I Dr. Bong as we do this media thing, we do the column with the Best Buzz magazine, but we also meet a lot of people. Gaetano is one of those interesting people that we met through his company, Living Soil DMV. And you can check out their website, livingsoildmv.com. And we here at the Cannabis Chronicles, I came up with a little catchphrase, and I said for cannabis, go from the root to the fruit. Now, what a lot of folks don't realize is that a bud that is a flower that is the fruit of that particular plant. So from the root, obviously through living soil, through Sage Genetics, we have a network of individuals and companies that we work with and we have relationships with. So I like to say that we have a foot in all of those perspectives. Shout out again to Big Gas Worldwide. So we're going to go from the root, excuse me, to the fruit. Shout out to Big Gas Dispensary, Big Gas Worldwide. That is the New Pulse. If you're in New Paltz area and you're looking for a dispensary to satisfy, I mean, they have everything there. You just name it and you can find it. So check out Reem, his team at Big Gas Dispensary, New Paltz, New York. Tell them Dr. Bong sent you. And there's no discounts, nothing like that. I'm not going to claim that, but just let them know you know who we are and you heard about the spot from him. Shout out to Justin and his team at Chill Pipes and BuzzFeed. If you want to check out two um, periodicals, check out Best Buzz magazine and check out BuzzFeed Weekly. And there's a lot of information in both of those periodicals, both of those magazines, and you can definitely stay up on cannabis information, especially if you are in a place because again, I see that we have international friends, so you may not be in the United States, or you may not be in New York, or you may not be in the United States. So please, 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 please pay attention to your laws and your state and don't get in trouble because I can't bail you out. Hold on one second. I'm going to put you on hold. I forgot about that. I forgot about putting on mute because I had like When I drank my tea the last time, there was like a little bit still stuck in my throat, and I felt like I was going to cough, and I just coughed. Covered, uh, I literally just covered my throat. Excuse me, I covered the microphone and I coughed, and we went from there. Let's see who listeners are here. Uh, share my talk. So we are going to share the talk to Joseph again to let him know that we are on. So this is the second one. So he cannot say to me tomorrow that I did not let him know that we are on. We are the Cannabis Chronicles. I'm your boy, brother Bong, and sent a message to Billy as well. I know he's not going to come on, but we are going to shout him out anyway because we want him to get better. So when cannabis is used intentionally and responsibly, it may offer you, like I said, muscle relaxation, improved sleep cycles, mood stabilization. Now, what we're witnessing is a move from excess towards awareness, less numbing, more regulating. For people with this invisible illness, cultural acceptance matters. Community matters. And let's face it, even here with this community, with this Cannabis Chronicles, with the Cannabis Chronicles, we have a conversation. Community conversations, they're coming more open. They're becoming more open. And that openness, that see, that reduces the stigma. And that's part of why we do the Cannabis Chronicles, to reduce the stigma about cannabis and medical cannabis, and then as well about cannabis uh, legal cannabis, and how the two worlds are the same but not the same. So we are the Cannabis Chronicles, a weekly candid cannabis community conversation. Shout out to Sage Genetics for the Cherry Gushers. Shout out to Best Buds Magazine, aka Best Buds Media. Check out their website. You can check the website out at bestbudsmagazine.com. And check out Pen Game Publishing. Got some really cool kids' books. If you have some youngins in your life and you want to enrich them with I think the one of the most important things that a kid can learn is how to read, because then you learn how to read, reading comprehension. Then you learn how to understand and grasp the world around you and understand what's going on. We are the Cannabis Chronicles. I am your boy, brother Bong, and this is this is where we get down to it. We talk about it, and like I said, I am a boots on the ground medical cannabis individual. I have helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people answer those questions that they may be a little shy to ask their physician. They may be uncomfortable to ask their nurse practitioner. But here on this kind of platform, this is the perfect space for that, because you don't have to show your face. You don't have to say anything that you don't want to share. You know what I mean? You don't want to talk about. And I say this all the time, but every cannabis is not for everybody. But medical cannabis, excuse me, let me rephrase that. Medical cannabis is not for everybody, but everybody knows someone who can benefit from medical cannabis. And if you take a look at that website, the Office of Cannabis Management website, and you see all of the different qualifying conditions, there's HIV/AIDS, there's fibromyalgia, there's chronic pain, there's PTSD. So if you follow the show, you will see that every week we talk about a different condition that New York State is uh, the qualifying condition for New York State and medical cannabis. Like I said, this week is fibromyalgia. Next week is going to be, let me go to my calendar here. It has open. There's going to be multiple sclerosis. That is the 8th. Excuse me, that is the 9th. Excuse me, the 11th. Jesus, I can't see. The 11th is multiple sclerosis. The 18th is Alzheimer's. And on the 25th of March, we're going to be talking about diabetes. Shout out to my dad. Happy birthday to him. His birthday is tomorrow. So I know he's not listening to the show, but shout out to him anyway. And we do have the one and only Wild Bill Wofford on the line with us. So thank you so much, Wild Bill, for joining us. Um, just hit me up and let me know if you want to join the show or if you just want to chill. I think you just want to listen to the show. So we just appreciate you being here because you could have been anywhere else in the world, and you are here with your homie, Dr. Bong. So we are the Cannabis Chronicles, and we are weekly candid cannabis community conversations. So we're going to dive back into fibromyalgia, and let's look at it through another lens. Our segment three is our health segment. So now, hope there is hope. There's hope, folks. There's hope for fibromyalgia sufferers. You see, fibromyalgia, what it does is it alters how the brain processes pain signals. See, it amplifies them. And one of the things we talked about many times in the show has been we talk about the endocannabinoid system, which, as we know, cannabis interacts with, which plays a role in pain modulation, sleep regulation, mood balance, and inflammatory response. I mean, if you check those four boxes, you see that those are, symptoms associated with fibromyalgia. So that's why many fibromyalgia patients are coming to cannabis for their relief. So emerging research and patient reporting outcomes suggest cannabis may reduce the pain intensity, improve your sleep quality, decrease anxiety linked to chronic discomfort, but must be said and used responsibly. Cannabis, folks. I said if you hear me say this once, you hear me say it 1,000 times. Cannabis is not a cure. What medical cannabis does, what medical cannabis can do is a an alternative, a supplement. You can use it with certain medications for certain conditions. Now, what that does, cannabis does, medical cannabis does, is it improves the quality of your life by alleviating those symptoms associated with that condition that the patient, like the individual, may be suffering from. So what happens is that folks sometimes take the message and they want to say that cannabis is a cure. But folks, I am here to tell you it's not. This is my disclaimer. Um, but it is a tool. It is a tool. It is a tool. It is a tool. Now, you've heard me say this before. Like some patients, uh, they they are their wow, their improvement comes from a balance of THC and CBD. I am one of those people. Now, I myself take a green capsule, an extra strength capsule, once a day. Take it like with my vitamins and my morning meds. And I have to say that since I have introduced that into my life, it has improved the quality of my life substantially. I used to suffer from chronic knee pain. Uh, my size at the time, I had a lot of extra weight. I also am a paratrooper, a veteran paratrooper, and I used to jump out of airplanes. So I think the wear and tear on my knees, life, how it worked, but I would have this really, really sharp and grinding pain in both of my knees. And it would kick in around like say like 6:30 in the evening. And at the time I worked the afternoon, I worked 12 to 12, 12 to 8:30. So around 6:30, my knees would start kicking so bad. And so, I said, okay, I got to get something for my knees. And they prescribed these Percocets, not Percocets. It was the weak ones. And they were making it, but they didn't do it. So then they gave me a higher dosage. And that really, really took me for a loop. I couldn't. function after taking the medication. I would actually have to like chill out and relax, and find myself a nice peaceful place to eventually fall asleep in. So as you know, friends, stoners and cancer fam, that's just not a way to live. You can't live like that. So I had to figure out what to do because I had to work. So what I would do is suffer from 6:30 until I got off, and then I would go home, take my meds, wait for them to kick in, then eat, fall asleep, pass out, wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat every day. So that became my everyday life. And the weekends I would, take the meds and crash out, and then I would come back Monday, and fresh as a daisy. When I discovered medical cannabis, I at first was like this cannabis snob. I was very snobby about medical cannabis. I felt as though it was like, oh, it was, still had medical cannabis still had to prove itself to me because I had still had my own stigma, and my stigma was, that THC was the queen. THC was the best. The stronger, the higher the THC, the better. I had already started really, uh, had already dabbed, not like it was like all the time. I knew what dabs were. I knew what concentrates were. I had already started to get the legacy market vapes. Very, very tasty, very, very cool. So when I got involved with this, you folks, you might not realize this, but when New York started out, we only had limited products, and they were oral solutions and capsules. So it was not in my, it wasn't in my, my purview. So I wasn't going to work with that. So, but once I discovered that medication in that ratio, it was an amazing thing. And then once I had to discover my dosing, because again, if you find the right dose with the cannabis, you may have to, increase or decrease. You might have to titrate up or titrate down. Titrate is just a fancy way of saying to get stronger or get less, and that's going to depend on the individual. So, so with cannabis, you can microdose like that. You can have the THC CBD balance. Other benefits from CBD. Other people they benefit from CBD dominant approach. So there may be, if you go to a dispensary and you have a medical cannabis card, and you go to a dispensary, you may see a CBD dominant product, but you're going there expecting THC to be the queen. Do not, my friends, do not, friends, stoners and cannabis fam, look away from CBD. It is an amazing, amazing cannabinoid. And like I said, in conjunction with THC, the one-to-one ratio is what Dr. Bong does. Because, and like I said, consistency, and it's not a lot. It's, I think it's a 5 milligram dosing I'm taking. Or I started out at 5 milligrams. At 5 milligrams is very low. And because it's an equal part THC, CBD, the CBD levels out the psychotropic of the THC. So I don't feel, excuse me, not for the medication, but I don't feel elevated. I don't feel high. I don't feel, that euphoria. So, but then you have to be consistent. You have to take it on a regular. You have to work with it on a regular basis. You take that little dose, microdosing, it can matter. Consistency matters. Medical guidance matters. What does that mean? Start low and go slow. We don't want, I don't want you to have a negative experience and say, cannabis is not for you because negative information, negative stories, negative things, that information travels faster than positive information across the board, no matter what. I'm telling you, trust your boy, Dr. Bong. That is the absolute truth. So, um, we want to share, we want to break the stigma, we want to constantly, constantly, constantly break the stigma. So follow those guidelines because again, people make mistakes. We're human, things happen. People, they may take too much of, they may feel as though they can have an edible and not have it in the right, how should I say that? Understanding of what it is, how it metabolizes in their body, and have a negative experience, so they're not going to go back to it. Where that may be something that improves the quality of their life forever. But if you have a negative experience, you're not, most of the time, I don't even know the percentages of it. Most people don't go back to it. So that's why it's a very, very important to guideline. If you listen, if you go out this weekend, okay, never, ever, 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 ever had an edible in your life, and they have a platter full of cookies, and they say they are infused with THC, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to think about me. I want you to think about your boy, Dr. Bong, and I want you to say, and remember this lesson. Cut it in half, and then cut it in half again. Take 1/4, put it to the side. Take the other 3/4 and wrap it up in a napkin and put it in a plastic bag. Now, you eat that quarter of the cookie, okay? And you enjoy yourself. You continue to have a good time at the party. You don't try to indulge in too much alcohol. You don't try to indulge in too much any other cannabis products. We have a couple puffs, but feel how you feel. Assess your feelings after a while, after about an hour and a half. See how you're feeling. If the medication level is something that you tolerating, wait another 30 minutes. Wait another 30 minutes. And if you still feel it's tolerable, then have the other half of the other piece of the cookie, the quarter, and then wrap it up. Because at that point, that medicine is going to be in your system for 6 to 8 hours, depending on your tolerance levels, depending on if you tolerate cannabis well or not. That's going to have an effect. So that's going to, again, possibly a negative effect. I had a different situation. A lady came to me back in the day, and she was saying to her grandson that and it was a grandmother, older woman, and she said that she was telling her grandson that she got her medical cannabis card, and he started laughing at her. He was like, "What you mean?" And he was like, "Grandma, you don't need your medical cannabis card. I got something for you. I can help you." So they talked about it, talked about it, talked about it. That he finally convinced her to try. So he commenced to roll up a blunt or a cone, pack a cone, and lit it up. And he hit it a couple of times. He passed it to her. She hit it, and she felt better. She started to feel a little better. So she passed it back to him, and he passed it back to her. She hit it again, and then she passed it back to him. He hit it, and he's talking. She passed it back. He passed it back to her, and then he got a phone call, and he got up and left. So she kept just pulling on this thing he had rolled, this cone he had packed. So by the time he got back, it was already almost halfway done. She had almost smoked it all, half of it to herself, and it was not a how should I say? Her grandson was more experienced. He had a higher dosing of THC, something that made it a little bit stronger for her tolerance levels. So by the time he got back, she wasn't happy. Didn't feel good, and she had a negative experience. So remember, medical guidance matters. Just because you get the medical cannabis card does not mean you can hang out with your grandson and smoke blunt and eat pot brownies or eat. Excuse me, I never say that word. There's certain words I don't say. You'll never hear me say. You'll ever hear me say the M word, and you'll never hear me say the P word. It's just again because we have a little bit more decorum in how we want to present the show and what we want to present the show as. So we will always call it cannabis. We never call it M or P. And I stepped up and said, so just because you have a medical cannabis card does not mean you can have an infused brownie and smoke a blunt with your grandson or granddaughter or son or daughter or best friend. And you haven't done it in a while or have never, ever, ever done it. Now, what I suggested first of all, after I stopped laughing, after we stopped laughing together, I suggested to her, after the first two polls, most people don't realize that you've already received the medication that works for you. That's, again, going back to microdosing. Have a couple puffs. Puff, puff, exhale, puff, puff, exhale, put it out. Put it out and see how you feel later on. Put it out and see how you feel later on and how that affects you and what it affects you at. All right. So we are the Cannabis Chronicles. Shout out to Chill Pipes, Justin, and his team, the crew at BuzzFeed.com. You can also check out their really cool pipes. They have it's the chillstore.com, and really cool bongs, really cool uh, just accessories, all kind of stuff that just makes an aficionado like myself know that if I had more money to spend, I would have a whole apartment full of paraphernalia because there's some really cool stuff out there. So, Justin, thank you so much for my favorite bond. She's not here, but we have her in Black Beauty. We have her at the other studio. So shout out to you and his team and check them out. BuzzFeedWeekly.com. We are the Cannabis Chronicles. I'm your boy, Brother Bong, and we are joined by a shout out to my homie, the glue, the homie, the one and only Wild Bill, aka Professor Waffles. See you listening in today. He told me, he said, listen, I thought I was gonna be ready to do the show this week, but I'm still not up to it, Brother Bar, Dr. Bar. Help me out. What's up? I said, bro, listen, you take your time, you feel better, and we're here when you're ready. We're here when you feel better. So as I said, back to fibromyalgia. For many people, Buzz, friends, cannabis, friends, stoners, and canna fans, cannabis offers something powerful. It's validation. It's hope. All right. And we are the Cannabis Chronicles. Shout out again to our friends and our partners, the Best Buzz Magazine, Best Buzz Media. Check them out, bestbuzzmagazine.com. Check out Sage Genetics. If you want to check them out on Instagram, become a friend with them. You can check them out as Sage underscore genetics. That's spelled GENTIX at Instagram.com. Classes, he's got a book. Just check out our boy JT and his messages over there at Sage Genetics. Canaware Society, uh, my boy Grizz, Sam, Abe, Star. Check them out. Listen, I know there's so many people, they want to get involved with this cannabis thing. They want to get involved with what we do. But in order, where do we start? What do we do? We just show up? Do we do this? Do we do that? The place you want to start out is cannaware.org. That's CANNAWARE.org. And then once you connect with that, you're going to see on that page, it's called the Cannaware United Network. Become involved with the Cannaware United Network. And then you will be part of the platoon. You can just events, all kind of stuff that we're going to be doing all throughout the year coming up. Really cool events just for us. There's some paint and puff things. There's some chest and puff things. Again, shout out to Sam and his chest and puff endeavors, and we look forward to actually having Sam on the show. The show is a little different. We're not a little different, a lot different. We're going to have, I don't know if you see, there's a little bit more structure to what we do. Uh, kind of have a through line throughout the show, and we talk about, keep it going. I remember the early shows where we would start talking about cannabis and we would get a caller, and before I knew it, we'd be talking about the aliens, the reptilian aliens. And those days were definitely interesting, definitely wonderful, and we learned so much. Shout out to one of the original co-hosts of the show, Ty. Shout out to him. Shout out to Arika. Uh, Miss you guys, and but I know they're checking out the show, so I appreciate them. So you might not see it unless you have it, and unless you know somebody who has it. Fibromyalgia is serious. It's not fake. It's real. And as I said earlier in the earlier segment, You know, medical cannabis is not for everybody, but everybody knows somebody who could benefit from medical cannabis. And with that said, I mean, coming up, folks, there's all kind of elections coming up, and medical cannabis, I mean, is on the ballot in 2026 all over. Medical cannabis initiatives continue appearing on ballots across the country, and that matters to who? Who's that matter to, fam? Fibromyalgia patients, chronic pain patients, PTSD patients, IBS, IBC patients, PTSD patients, HIV/AIDS patients, because cannabis helps to improve the quality of those individuals' lives. Cannabis helps those individuals deal with the symptoms, or excuse me, cannabis helps deal with the symptoms associated with those conditions. And any small improvement in the quality of life is a big improvement. I mean, I've had friends who had fibromyalgia, and they described it exactly how the book described it. That you just don't know what where it's going to be, how it's going to be, how intense it's going to be, and what part of the body it's going to affect. So with those initiatives all over the country, because it's that we're an international show, we're a national show. We got friends in Canada, we have friends in Europe, we have friends in Texas, we have friends in California, we have friends in Atlanta, and Pittsburgh, and Florida. We shout out to all those friends all over the country, all over the world. So policies determine a lot of things, man. Policies determine a lot of things. They determine who qualifies, who, what, when, where, why. Those questions are always asked. That's one of the questions as a journalist I always like to ask. What protections exist? How research is going to be funded? And how safely patients can seek that treatment. Because, I mean, I don't want a patient going and trying an oral solution. And this week it's 5 milligrams, and next week it's 25 milligrams, because that's a 5 times increase of that medication in that same amount. So that may throw a person for a loop. That might not be a positive experience. And as I said, man, we want positive experiences. We want people to say, I feel relief. I want people to feel what I feel. Professor Waffles, he wants people to feel what the relief that he feels. All of my patients, all of the patients that we are associated, want people to understand the importance of medical cannabis and how important and how profoundly it has affected so many of their lives. So, you know what? Civic engagement directly affects that medical process every single time. We have to be involved. I actually got my email from uh, excuse me. I uh I signed up to be one of those poll workers, and I got the email for it. So I got to make sure, because I didn't do it in November, which I should have, because that was a perfect little bit of extra, because we're always looking for alternative we call it forms of income streams, and I could have had that money, and now I regret it. Not regret it, but just it was easy peasy. I didn't even realize how easy it was going to be. So, but I'm definitely doing it this year. So, civically minded, civic and be engaged. So then you can know, then you can help, because activism does not always look loud. It's not always about getting out there and shouting and marching and all that kind of stuff. It also means staying informed. Stay informed. Know what's going on. If you live in New York and you are a medical cannabis patient, don't just worry about your condition. Be concerned about the other patients. Maybe your neighbor might be somebody who could benefit from it. Stay informed. Stay involved. Stay voting. Voting is, as we said, is our civic duty. It's our civic obligation. And in order for real change to happen, in order for real uh, understanding, in order for to really defeat the stigma, we have to make sure that we come at it the right way. Because yes, there's a lot of anecdotal things that we could talk about. Yes, there's a lot of things that are, we call that urban legend. But the proof is in the papers. The proof is in the papers. If you have a paper, and you publish that paper and you know something, and then you could back that up with facts, then that changes a lot. And also, voting changes a lot. We see that right now. Having a calm conversation with someone who disagrees. Calm. You don't have to yell. You don't have to scream to get the point across. Have a calm conversation. Point them to this show. And I mean, you could hear the show on not just this platform, and you could check it out on stereo, but you could also check out my show on Buzzsprout. You can check it out on Amazon Music. You can check it out on uh, Spotify. Let's see, let's get the whole list here for us. You can check it out on here we go. Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Index, Buzzsprout, and also you can check me out on my YouTube channel. That is Brother Bong. Listen, man, I get the information from all several sides. Not only the wonderful, wonderful magazine, Best Buzz magazine, but it's all kind of information. And I have a normal book, Emerging Clinical Applications for Cannabis and Cannabinoids. I like the Clinician's Guide to Medical Cannabis by Dr. Matthew Roman, and CRX magazine, Celeb Stoner, Cannabis Now. All of those magazines, contribute to the show some way, shape, or form because I'm always reading, I'm always engaged in what cannabis, what's going on in medical cannabis, what's going on in cannabis as a whole, because I'm like really vested in this thing. And I really, as I said, not only am I a patient, but I'm also a person who helps guide folks. Not only do I guide folks uh, who may have medical problems, but veterans. I talk to veterans groups because we're finally opening up that conversation for veterans groups. And I mean, some of the hardest thing for people to do is ask for help. And some of the hardest people who need help, who might ask for help, who need to ask for help, are veterans. And we uh, we all can learn something new every day from cannabis, medical uh, or otherwise. And let's not forget about the legacy market. Let's not forget about those folks who have the dispensaries now. Shout out to, excuse me, Happy Monkey, our boys over there in Happy Monkey. Shout out to, oh, Blue Joint. Shout out to all of the dispensaries in the Bronx, all the medical dispensaries. Shout out to my boy Wild Bill Walford. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for being involved with the show. Thank you for, taking me under your wing as a little brother and showing me real happiness and real friendship, man. I appreciate you, man, because you are, one of the million, my friend. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me at brotherbond420@gmail.com. As I said, you can check out the show on the platforms that I discussed earlier. You can check out the platform. You can check us here at Stereo. I'm going to be expanding my profile in Stereo. I'm going to get back on to, hanging out with folks and checking out other shows and drawing listeners to this show because, like I said, we record the show through Stereo and they have a real cool setting where they allow me to download the episode and I put it right up on Buzzsprout. So it is it's a wonderful thing, what I'm learning to do. Shout out again to Best Buzz magazine. We partnered with them, created Best Buzz Media. Looking forward to all the things that we have in store for you. So just keep your eye out for the magazine, keep your ear out for the show. When you want to see us and when we be out, we will let you know and you can check us out. And I'm telling you, there really is. If you're on the show, you can see right now, you're on the channel, you can see Wild Bill. There is really a Billy, and he is the one and only Professor Waffles. So I appreciate you, man. Again, shout out to Best Buds Media, shout out to Best Buds Magazine, Sage Genetics, Cannabis Society, Chill Pipes and Budspeed, Living Soil. They have an event coming up in April 11, 2026. Check out their website, Living Soil, and that is livingsoildmv.com. That is livingsoildmv.com. And learn something. Learn something. Become like us. Become from the root to the fruit like we are. Billy and I are from the root to the fruit because we have a network of folks that we deal with on different levels, all the way from the growing to the cultivating, the processing, to the consumption. All right. So, you know what, fam? Friends, stoners, Canna fam. So fibromyalgia may be invisible. True that. It may be invisible. We may not know where the origins are. We may not, the patients may not know where it's going to hit, but the people living with it are not. They're not invisible. They're your friends. They're your aunt or your uncle or your coworker, maybe your kid's soccer coach, and you just don't know. But they deserve options. They deserve that. Going through what they go through 24 hours a day, they deserve options. They deserve compassion. I mean, how would you feel if you had a condition or a situation and nobody cared about that condition and that situation? I wouldn't feel right. I mean, I already know how I feel when I don't feel good, so I know I wouldn't feel right. So they deserve that compassion. They deserve relief. I know I would love to give them all relief and help them feel better and relieve the debilitating condition that is fibromyalgia. So listen, if this is something you like, check us out. Follow the show. Follow the show on the platforms. Download us. Listen to us, and share us. We appreciate you all. You know, and this is the Cannabis Chronicles. Dr. Bong and Doctor says, I want you to stay informed. Pick up a book. Read an article. If you have a condition, read up on your condition. Go to the Office of Cannabis Management and find out how that condition applies and what you can do to help yourself deal with that condition. That's simple. It's not easy. Stay informed. Stay intentional. Have that conversation. Have that conversation with somebody, and like I said, have a quiet conversation with somebody who doesn't agree. Maybe you'll bring them over to the side of medical cannabis and understanding how important this misunderstood medication is. It truly, truly, truly is misunderstood. And I and my team, the team of the people that I associate with and network, we build, we build. Whether it's Legacy United Community, shout out to everybody over there. Shout out to Ojo, shout out to Kayvon, and everybody at Legacy United Community. Get involved, stay informed, stay lifted responsibly. All right, we are the Cannabis Chronicles. I am your boy, Brother Bond. And this is our terminology policy, real quick before I wrap up. Always going to use cannabis, medical cannabis, adult use cannabis, cannabis patient, cannabis advocate, cannabis policy, plant medicine when appropriate. I'm not going to use the M word, the P word, the W word, the D word, or drug slang in my educational segments. And I say, why cannabis? The term marijuana gained prominence in the early 20th century with U.S. prohibition campaigns. It was strategically used to associate the plant with Mexican immigrants and fuel xenophobic fear narratives. Now, to maintain historical awareness and cultural respect, Cannabis Chronicles uses cannabis exclusively. So thank you. We are the Cannabis Chronicles. I'm your boy, Brother Bong, and we're out. Peace.